Thank you for tuning in to Tech Trends, the show that takes you on the ride in 25 minutes to seek out innovation and creativity that are unique to Africa. On our lineup this week, Joshua Abdullah, founder of Josh for Tech, becomes the youngest in Africa to get certified as an Amazon Web Services Cloud Practitioner at the age of 13. Plus, I chat with Dayo Adesoya, a tech consultant on Africa's adoption of artificial intelligence and why the technology is quite limited on the continent. Welcome to the program. I am Olayemi Utunuga. Cloud computing offers individuals access to data and applications from nearly any point of access to the internet. It offers businesses a whole new way to cut costs for technical infrastructure and offers big computer companies a potentially giant market for hardware and services. Joshua Adola is a 13-year-old programmer, future skills activist, and the founder of Josh for Tech, a young enterprise that provides knowledge and skill empowerment services as well as web solutions to businesses and individuals. He is passionate about advocating for the early teaching of tech skills to young people, and he recently got certified as an Amazon Web Services Cloud Practitioner, becoming the youngest in Africa to achieve the feat at his age.
I'm Joshua Abdullah. I am a programmer, speaker, and a YouTuber, and I'm also a future skills activist, and I love tech.
Meet one of Nigeria's youngest tech CEOs, passionate about advocating for the early teaching of tech skills to young people. Joshua Abdullah is a young tech genius who started coding at the age of 6. Now at 13 years, he's quite comfortable programming in a number of languages and frameworks.
We're playing it to go play stuff because the platform was old.
He was first featured on Tech Trends in 2020, the year of the COVID-19 pandemic, when he continued to innovate and create content that suited the times. He tells us what he's been up to since then.
So after that, around that time is when I won the NTM Post Hackathon. And for the Kaguka app I built. I also won the Indomie Heroes Award, and I was the best in the intellectual category. So I've been up to a lot, and I also started learning data science, which I've spent some of my time doing. Of course, I've been working on, apart from the Kaguka, which is one of my web projects I've worked on for the longest. I also worked on the square word remover and image classifier. And I've also spent most of my time working on Kaguka version 2. Because, well, for instance, there's Kaguka version 1, the calculation version 1.5, and this is the newest version I'm working on. And I have to basically rebuild it from scratch in another framework and language. So it's really taking a lot of time. And I'm working with a team member. So it takes a lot of time to build it from the ground up because I have to use a different language. So I also have to learn how to better implement that language to work because I used a particular language before and I want to use this language. So it's really taking a lot of my time. So I've been putting more of my effort into that project.
Joshua is of the opinion that adults keep underestimating children, which is one of the reasons he says he's working hard to provide knowledge and skill empowerment services through his company, Josh for Tech. He likes to inspire young people to embrace technology and doesn't see a reason why there are age limits for children that want to be empowered.
Josh for Tech is basically a company that provides tech and knowledge skills. So what I'm actually focusing on is providing tech skills through my YouTube channel. I'm also working on creating training, other training services to teach young children, not just children, but also youth tech skills. On how Josh for Tech has been doing, it has been progressing in empowering individuals. I feel that most times people underestimate what kids can do. Because recently I was about to sign up for a Udacity ALX course to also improve my skills in cloud computing, and they flagged 18+. And I want kids to be able to have a type of skill that is compared to the other. I don't want kids to be restricted in what they can learn. I want them to delve deeper. I also want to help my peers. There's always knowledge to be learned. And I don't know why the age restriction is there, but I always encourage that kids should learn more than they are expected to learn and go beyond their brief and continue to empower themselves. So just for tech, also have a YouTube channel, which I'm trying to grow. I want to reach 5,000 subscribers, so I want to surpass that level. I'm working on content creation, on creating content that can be more educational and can help to teach people a thing or two. That is the point. The point is that
Joshua's parents have been quite supportive of his tech career. His mum, Henrietta Adola, takes us through the journey of how it all began.
Wow, that's quite a while. We first of all noticed when he was much younger that he liked to sing. We used to hold this chicken bone and sing around, and then so the starting point was okay. We said, oh, he likes music, so we tried to enroll him for piano lessons, and also he learned piano very early. I think from age 5 or so, started learning how to use the piano, and that also helps, with the motor ability to be able to type and all of that. So with the piano lessons, he delved also into coding. There was a time that his elder sister, who is practically 7 years older than him, had to go for a coding school. And then, since it was just 2 of them at that point, now they're 3, but he couldn't be left at home. So he had to go along with her to this coding school. And then I think it was going to be 6, 5.5 going to 6. And we had to ask them to create a curriculum for him. And they did. And that's actually the starting point of his coding career.
For a 13-year-old with a promising tech career, Joshua says it was initially a struggle for him to stay focused on tech while going to school. But he says he's found a way to do both.
It's been a bit challenging, but I've actually found the balance that I need. As well, thanks to my parents, they helped me to find the balance and they helped me to nurture my skills while also building me in my academics. Sometimes I quite have to meet. Sometimes I go, for instance, when I go to school and then I come back, I find my time to focus on my tech skills and build it.
Earlier on in his secondary school, we had to come up with discussing with the school, and they gave us time for him to be able to, mix it with the schooling activities, and then when he had to go into boarding school, we had to kind of focus on school, right? And then maybe during holidays, he spends time on his projects. So somehow that impacted even his YouTube channel, because he had to take breaks of it. I mean, when you're in school, you just can't record, you can't do things, and then when you're on holiday, so he's been to try and balance that, both at school and, doing his tech things, and of course during holidays. And, once they come, during school time and after school time, you're able to find more time to give up. But once you're a little bit older than you were much younger, you'll be able to find that balance, have a timetable and be able to work with that timetable. So he's been able to find the balance.
Despite all of Joshua's achievements, he still strives to accomplish more. After passing the AWS Cloud Practitioner test, Joshua is the youngest in Africa to get certified as an Amazon Web Services Cloud Practitioner at the age of 13.
I've known about cloud computing for a while. It was one of the upcoming technologies and one of the technologies that will define the fourth industrial revolution, the tech revolution. So I've known about it for a long time, but it was until recently that I wanted to implement a particular database into one of my SAPs. I wanted to use a database called MongoDB. So what MongoDB is basically a document-oriented database. Don't let me bore you with the details, but it's a document-oriented database for storing high volumes of data, basically. And I wondered, okay, how can someone store data in the cloud? Is it that they have a data center they're storing it? How do they provide? And that drove my curiosity. And that made me want to learn more. It was until recently that my dad actually encouraged me to take the exam, which was the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, to actually build my knowledge into knowing about the cloud computing services. So actually what happened was that I entered the room, so I sat down for the exam. And so they make it so adrenaline inducing. So you sit down and they just tell you that you passed. They don't even tell you your score. You do the exam, you load screen, you have a loading screen for 15 seconds. They just show you that you passed. When I did that, I was like, because the exam was not, and I didn't want to waste the money my parents spent to pay for the exam. So when I heard, I was excited. I went to trick my mom and say, "Mommy, I was doing a very low voice." After that, I passed, and they were excited.
Joshua's latest feat is one that his parents are very much proud of, and his mom speaks of his tenacity.
He's a very inquisitive boy. I'm sure you can see that. He likes to research a lot. You know, it's not something that you push him to do. It's something that comes out of him naturally, that he wants to research, find information, delve into things. So he's always had a very inquisitive mind. So, and I've seen that work for him so well, because even while trying to do his coding, he would try and create projects by himself. In fact, there was a time he created like several projects in a row. He would just destroy them, do another one, destroy. He was always very, very inquisitive to do things. And that also helped him, you know, because at times people think that coding is very hard. But the thing is that if you present something to a child, because they're tabula rasa, you present it to the child and you present all the information, especially him, he grabs everything. He studies, I think he's self-motivated, you know, so he doesn't get pushed down by the loads of work. He will take it, read it, and if he finds a problem, oh my gosh, until he finds a solution, he's not sleeping. So he's always very proactive about things like that.
Joshua Adola sees the countless possibilities of using technology to solve so many challenges in the world. And he is determined to showcase what young people are capable of doing and to also show that there are great talents in Africa. Inspired by the isolation couples felt during China's lockdowns in the COVID-19 pandemic, a group of Chinese graduates have created a robotic silicone device to allow people kiss despite being separated. The device, named Long Lost Touch in English, was made by a Beijing-based company, and it records users' kiss data through motion sensors and sends it to a paired device far away. The machine can warm up slightly as the user kisses, giving it a more authentic touch. The man behind the invention says he first came up with the idea when he was in a relationship during COVID-19, and he could not see his girlfriend, often due to strict and lengthy lockdowns. Then a student at the Beijing Film Academy, he decided to focus his graduate project on solving the lack of physical intimacy in video calls, and later set up the company. They released their first product in January 2023. Zhao says 2 weeks after its release, the company had sold over 3,000 kissing machines and received about 20,000 orders.
WeChat or mobile phone enables phone calls and messages to be sent. It can communicate information using language, but it may not be able to offer feedback and communication on a sensory level. Technology is already evolving, and people are already able to communicate and make phone calls online. I hope that our device can fulfill what's going on with getting in touch online and make it better.
To use the device, users must download an app, pair 2 kissing machines, and plug the lip-shaped device into the charging port of their smartphone, which they use to video call. The device, meanwhile, brought both intrigue and absurdity to residents in Beijing. Comments on China's social media, Weibo, also expressed concerns that the device and its app may spread erotic content online, which is under tight scrutiny in China. The company's founder promised to reinforce regulations, but conceded there is little they can do in how people use the device.
Through this process, it will inevitably involve dealing with some sensitive topics, and users will use the devices in whichever way they want. So we must do more in supervising the regulation of the application to avoid feedback that could end up negative, like pornography, for example.
The idea of kissing remotely is not new. Researchers at the University of Electrocommunications in Tokyo invented a kiss transmission machine in 2011, and the Imagineering Institute in Malaysia also presented a similar gadget called Kissinga in 2016. The adoption of artificial intelligence is rapidly increasing as AI experts continue to find ways to transform lives and sectors using the technology. But its widespread adoption is not so much in Africa, as many countries on the continent still lack the necessary infrastructure, data, and even governance needed for its implementation. My guest, Dayo Adesonya, a tech consultant, joins me to discuss this further. When it comes to the global artificial intelligence ecosystem, it seems to be dominated by the West and even Asia. Why do you think that is happening?
Thanks for that question. That's a question that I think everybody should be asking in Africa at the moment. But just to ensure that I unpack the right level of information and to define AI properly, I'd say that AI is a field of computer science that creates computers that can, think and, make decisions just like humans. In layman's terms, that means that these computers and machines would have the ability to understand language, to make critical decisions, and also to solve problems. Something that would require human intelligence normally. Now, back to your question, I think that, in the West and Asia, there are three reasons why it seems like they are dominating at the moment. Three reasons I can easily focus on now, which will be, significant investments and, established infrastructure, tech infrastructure, and also a higher concentration of skills around that region. With all of that investment and the skills that they have, obviously you want to expect that they are dominating in that space.
If we decide to look at diversity, Africa seems to be underrepresented. Like, we really don't get to see a lot of AI trained with African faces that will make the applications much more inclusive. What do you think we can do about that?
Thanks for that question. Look, when we look at being inclusive, we have to look at it, from, let's have the right amount of empathy for a second and look at a company that has invested billions of dollars into an AI model. Obviously, the first set of things they want to do, or the first set of information that they have, or the immediate culture around them will be their own culture. It's hard for them to put down all that money and have all of those skills, and the first cultures that they are taking on and the way lifestyle that they're taking on will be that of the Africans, that are not even investing in AI at the moment. So I think that, the underrepresentation is deeply concerning, especially the fact that it can let our contingents be look less smart in the international space, especially knowing that the Western guys can always leverage AI beyond human capabilities. So I really think that is a question of the investment that they've put in place, and they're prioritizing their own cultures first. However, for Africa, they're able to feed in data that they have available, not exactly the data that we think is authentic and we feel like should be on there. So yes, they have data for Africans, but is it the right thing? Is it what we want? And how are we getting involved?
I'd like to take you back to your first response where you mentioned that low investment and AI expertise are, part of the reasons why the technology is not advancing much on the continent. Why do you think that is? Don't we have, schools or, colleges that could train people on, on these, and investors that would like to, pump money into that sector?
I know that even banks that don't sit at the core of this technology, of the R&D, are investing billions of dollars in this environment. So not just investment, significant investment. So definitely low investments or almost no investment in Africa is a major reason why they're lacking behind in this space. What are our budgets looking like initially? Let's look at that. Let's look at the awareness. At what level do Africans become aware of, technologies like artificial intelligence? Many of us only learned this thing this artificial intelligence when we got into the university and begun to do research on our own to understand what it's like. It's different on the other side, on the Western side and in Asia, where children are already being exposed to artificial intelligence at a very young age. And then the interest is also a major factor. Being exposed to AI at a young age and machine learning and coding is one thing. How significant is the interest, and how much of application are they able to use those skills for within our environment? I think these are the areas that we need to address to ensure that low investment is a thing of the past, and we can begin to get the right level of investments from indigenous and multinational companies.
And do you think that this technology is a priority for African governments? Like, do they see it as a must-have?
I would say Africa needs AI more than any other continent, especially thinking about the fact that AI is capable of doing intelligent work and helping you become a lot more efficient at whatever you do, reducing costs and whatnot. There are many areas that Africa can benefit, and Nigeria can benefit from artificial intelligence. If you look at different sectors, look at the banking sector, for example, we can feed data. The way AI works is AI looks at data in the past and learns from it and begin to make smarter decisions for the future, help you understand what the trend has been in the past so that you can avoid certain things or make better decisions in the future. So if you look at the banking sector, for example, there are a lot of fraudulent cases that we've dealt with over and over again. If we applied AI in those areas, AI already understands those trends and can keep you and your subscribers safe. So yeah, I think that these are areas that we need to critically look into to help us reprioritize and also put our entrepreneurs in the right spot, let our members of government be able to make the right decisions and smart decisions, and also be aware with little research around how they should reposition themselves, their commodities and prices around the world.
What do you think needs to be done for AI to work for us as Africans?
What needs to be done, some of them I have mentioned earlier, to ensure that there's early awareness, ensure that kids are getting into this as early as possible. We have the talents. If you look at the pool of talents on a global scale, you'll see that Nigerians make a great percentage of some of those that are making waves. I know some household Nigerian names that are getting applaudable projects done in the AI space. So what we need to be doing is to invest, ensure that we have the right investment in interest, in finances, into education, and ensure that is incentivized enough that the interest for young ones are sustained, and also to ensure that the elderly ones also see the right or the advantages of AI. Not to say that there are no disadvantages. There are sectors that we need to look into and begin to build solutions that will counter what AI is bringing into the space. In the education sector, for example, children are now able to use AI to solve their homeworks and their tests and exams at a twinkle of an eye, right? How do we redefine how we identify students that are smart? Are we going to have to redefine the standard of exams, or are we going to counter those technologies in those industries? So these are some things that we need to begin to look at, and these things, these steps need to start like yesterday.
And lastly, what do you think about a partnership between the academia and the AI industry to build, AI applications and research on the continent?
I think that's the way to go. You just said it. The academia would always take the lead in many areas of technology, majorly because, when they run their own R&Ds and they do these tests, they're doing it in test environments. They're knowledgeable, they have the time, they have the focus, and the risk is low because there are no significant investments that can go bad if certain decisions are made in the wrong direction. Not to say that AI is always correct, but AI gets better over time. The more you feed them, the more they know. So then being able to test properly in the academia and the industry leveraging on the data that they pick from there to ensure that they're not starting from the scratch and they're starting from a safe level. Together, they can make AI a great tool for growth and reposition Nigeria better on the global scale.
Well, that was such an insightful conversation with you, Dayo. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on tech trends.
Thank you for having me, and have a wonderful weekend.
Well, that's our show this week. Thank you for staying with us. Do not forget, Tech Trends is here to share insights, trends, and developments happening within the tech space. All of our episodes are on the channel's TV YouTube account, and I encourage you to watch, share, and like your favorite editions. Until I come your way again next week, I am Olayemi Otunuga. Bye for now.